Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. He'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. This is the end of the week show. Today is the 25th of April. Right here. So today we have a sun sign in Taurus, which is an earth sign, a moon sign in Pisces, which is a water sign, and think about how water and earth work together. Okay, you got earth, which is on the surface, the conscious mind, and underneath we have the water. So we could think of it as like an island floating on the ocean. Okay, now the island can be remaining there and it could be a nice good balance, or the ocean could get really unstable and wash over the island and turn the island to mud or even sink it, or the earth could expand so much that it encompasses the water and absorbs all of that. So there's lots of different ways. We look at it as the practical things in life, the things that we create, and the emotions that go along with those things. Okay, so with Pisces, we have lots of emotions going back and forth. Pisces are the fish swimming in opposite directions. Emotions are pushing things in different ways. And so we need to learn to be able to bridge those emotions together with some sort of balance. And the way we do that is just by focusing our intentions to that balancing point, that middle between the two. Now we have a number of trines that have taken place and will continue to take place. We've got a trine that took place just after midnight between Venus and Saturn. We have another trine that took place about 2 hours after that between Jupiter and Pisces. And then later this afternoon, Saturn is going to be in the mix again, this time in a trine with Pisces. And so what we've got coming up there, just a key word to remember with Saturn is discipline. It's a planet of discipline. It's the planet, the idea is that it's the planet, the energy that takes what was created and kind of recycles it, brings it down and look at what works and what doesn't, and reverse it out into the world. One name associated with Saturn would be the administrative intelligence. It's associated with the tarot card of the world, which is all about a rebirth of sorts. So we've got some nice good things dealing with our emotions today, disciplining our emotions, our expansion of our emotions are going on. So lots and lots of emotion. So if you're out there dealing with people that are emotional, just kind of be aware where they might be today. Okay? Don't take everything so personal as things are affecting you, because people might be feeling emotions that you might not realize at first. Numerology today is number 9. Number 9, as we know, is associated with the Hermit. It's also associated with the astrological sign of Virgo. Okay, and the way we got to the number 9 is just like this. 4 plus 2 plus 5 plus the year, 2014. All that adds up to 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. Theosophic subtraction. Okay, so let's look at some of the qualities that we have here for the 9. They're helpful, compassionate, sophisticated, charitable. 9 is the final number of the single numbers, so it means that we've come to an end of a cycle, getting ready to move to the next phase of the cycle. The reason it's the Hermit is holding the lantern up high for others to see. Show you the card here associated with it. Here's the card of the Hermit. Hebrew letter Yod. This is the teacher, healer, helping others. Color gray is the color of neutrality. It's not black, it's not white, it's in between. You do have the white undergarment, which is purity. So we got the lantern being held up high because the Hermit went into solitude to learn, and the Hermit went inside to learn. Okay, that's the whole secret. We go inside, we learn something, we bring it forth to teach and help others. That's the whole process, how things are supposed to work. Okay, so that's where we're at today, number 9. I'll show you here on the chart where some of these things are. Hermit is right here, going from mercy back to the middle. Okay, things are so merciful, humility, getting back to the middle, because the Hermit understands the lessons of humility, but also understands that a person, a being, is not supposed to be walked upon, and therefore the Hermit knows how to stand his ground as well. That's part of the beauty of the balance. Okay, then of course the Tarot card of Taurus, which is the Hierophant right here, and our moon sign Pisces is down here. Card of the moon. Okay, so that's where we're at. Again, if you just look at this, it will help you to understand more and more the more you study it. You're not going to, whether you're going to be able to look at this and say you're an expert at this, I don't know. Because all the years of studying this, I still am finding myself learning more and more stuff each and every time I look at this. So I think you'll find the same thing as well. It's just one of these tools of learning that goes on and on and on. Just remember, circles are the classrooms. These are the lessons or the paths between the classrooms. Okay. Alright, let's move on from here to our moon phase for today. 15% full, making our way down to a new moon. We'll be there in just a couple of days. Looking up at the sky tonight, here's the 25th. We're going to see the moon just like this. Venus will be located just lower left of the moon. It says at dawn Saturday morning, spot the thin crescent moon low in the east left of Venus. Okay. Alright, then we go to our Mayan Oracle. We're on the wave spell of the dog, which is all about the heart, love, loyalty. We're at the 8th position, which is called the galactic tone of integrity. Integrity is staying in your path, staying in your groove, who you are, being in integrity with yourself. Today we're at the Earth, which is about navigation and synchronicity. So it would be the synchronicity, dealing with the issues of love and loyalty. The phrase for today is I harmonize in order to evolve, modeling synchronicity. Seal the matrix of navigation with the galactic tone of integrity. I am guided by the power of birth. Space weather. Solar wind is currently at 399.4 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is between a 2 and 3. Corona holes, not really much anything there. Planetary M-class flares now down to 25. X1 geomagnetic storm activity about where it was yesterday, but decreasing a great deal within the next 24 to 48 hours. Over on the Jewish calendar, where do we get here? There we go. Over on the Jewish calendar, today is the 25th, 25 Nisan. It says Omer, day 10. Okay, so let's go and look and see what this Omer is, because we keep coming across this every day. So it's important to understand what this means. It says, the counting of the Omer. You shall count for yourselves from the day after Shabbat, from the day when you shall bring the Omer of the waving, 7 Shabbats. They shall be complete until the day after the 7th Sabbath. You shall count 50 days. It comes from Leviticus and from Deuteronomy. You shall count for yourself 7 weeks. From when the sickle is first put to the standing crop, you shall begin counting 7 weeks. Then you will observe the festival of Shavuot for the Lord your God. It's from Deuteronomy. It says, according to the Torah, we are obliged to count the days from Passover to Shavuot. This period is known as counting of the Omer, and Omer is a unit of measure. On the second day of Passover, in the days of the temple, an Omer of barley was cut down and brought to the temple as an offering. This grain offering was referred to as the Omer. Every night from the second night of Passover to the night before Shavuot, we receive a blessing. We recite a blessing and state the count of the Omer in both weeks and days. So the 16th day, you would say today is the 16 days, which is 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. The Orthodox Union has a chart that provides a transliterated Hebrew and English text of the counting day by day, or if you prefer an amusing yet still accurate Simpsons-themed discussion of the Omer along with the Omer calendar. Here we have this right here, a link to that. It says the counting is intended to remind us of the link between Passover, which commemorates Exodus, and Shavuot, which commemorates the giving of the Torah. It reminds us of the redemption from slavery that was not completed until we received the Torah. The period is a time of partial mourning during which the weddings, parties, dinners, and dancing are not conducted in memory of the plague during the lifetime of Rabbi Akiba. Haircuts during this time are also forbidden. The 33rd day of Omer, the 18th of Iyar, is a minor holiday commemorating a break in the plague. The holiday is known as the Lag BiOmer. This mourning practices of the Omer period are lifted on that day. The word lag is not really a word. It is number 33 in Hebrew, as if it were to call the 4th of July, IV being 4 in Roman numerals. Okay. So see the Hebrew alphabet for information about using letters as numbers. As there was at one time a dispute as to when the counting should begin. The Pharisees believed that God gave Moses an oral Torah along with the written Torah, and according to that oral Torah, the word Shabbat, Leviticus 22:15, referred to the first day of Passover, which is a Shabbat, in the sense that no work is permitted on that day. Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are both referred to as Shabbat in this sense, though they cannot both occur on a Saturday in the same year. Right? It says in this view, held by most Jews today, the counting begins on the second night of Passover, that is the day after the non-working day of Passover. The Zudikim or the Sadducees rejected an idea of oral Torah and believed that the word Shabbat in Leviticus referred to the Shabbat of the week when Pesach began, so counting would always begin on a Saturday night during Passover. The Sadducees no longer exist today. Only a small sect called the Karaites follow this view. And here we have some dates down here. Lag BiOmer will occur on the following days of the secular calendar. Alright? There you go. And if you want to check out this Omer calendar here, the Simpsons way, it's right here. You just click on that link and it says, on the second day of Passover in ancient times, our ancestors brought the first sheaf of barley, amounting to a measure called an Omer, repeated that season as an offering to God. From that day, they began counting the 49 days to Shavuot, when they would celebrate the beginning of the wheat harvest by offering the loaves made of the first wheat. Even after the temple was destroyed and offerings were no longer brought, they continued to count the days from Passover to Shavuot in accordance with the biblical injunction. In this way, our ancestors linked Passover and Shavuot as occasions for thanking God for the fruits of the field. We too thank God for the renewal of life which nature proclaims at this season. However, as Passover and Shavuot acquired historical significance, their linkage through the counting of the intervening days took on a new meaning. Passover celebrates the liberation from Egypt, and Shavuot celebrates the receiving of the Torah at Sinai. By counting the Omer, we symbolically connect liberation with ideas of Torah. Counting the Omer is an exercise in the discipline of mindfulness. Counting each of the days of the Omer reminds us that all of our days are numbered, and it is our responsibility to make each day count. And here we got a nice little fun thing to go down. Just check out what's going on. Alright, I'm going to leave that to you to check out further. The links available firstcontactradio.com. Let's continue on with UFO news.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
Alright, Dirk, thank you very much. Today our first sighting comes to us from Mexico City. This was on the 12th. We had a whole grouping of them. Watches these graceful glowing orbs change formation and change colors together. The witness said it's near the Mexico International Airport. We all know that UFOs have been interested in airports over the years, like in China's Ixoshan Airport back in September of 2010, the O'Hare Airport in November 26, Berman German Airport in January 2014, and much more. The fact that humans are on the edge of mastering flight that could one day take them across the universe might intrigue aliens. Okay, says the video was recorded on Saturday the 12th at approximately 21:45 with camera and 1750 lens very close to the forest of Aragon. In the video you can see the red lights near the route of commercial flights at the Mexico City International Airport, following a rough track with Google Earth lights apparently come from the hills of Xiolocan. Alright, so here's our video. It's 10 minutes in length. Come on now. There we go. You see it there in the distance, large grouping of them. Well, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them right there in that shot. 8, 9. So this is quite a grouping out there. Alright. Pretty good sighting. 10 minutes video. Check it out. Moving on. This is the Phoenix on the 19th. This is new video footage of a bright UFO recorded in the night sky above Phoenix on the 19th. Witness said it was moving around much more before I got my video camera. The two lights were on tall TV or radio towers located in the area of 32nd and Southern here in Phoenix. Our location was 41st Way in Fremont, so it would move fast, stop, and would turn as fast as it could. Not be any type of aircraft we have here. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, so that's a good sighting over Phoenix. Again, we've seen these lights before. Now, is that all moving around, or is that the camera just not being held steadily? And that's probably what it is, because the tripod would certainly help, which he's stating. Okay, now we're going to go over to Stuttgart, Germany. Unknown lights hovering in the night sky above Stuttgart on the 22nd of April. More bright lights like before, except here we have 3 distinct ones that we can see. And we've seen this type of UFO before. This is a minute 42 seconds for this video. It's labeled thetruthbehindufos.com. Alright, so that's another good shot there. Let's move on. Here we have another sighting up by the ISS. See many of them up there. Here's our object in question. This glowing triangle UFO was captured by StreetCap 1 of YouTube. He quickly noticed it as it was moving to the left of the screen, and luckily for us, he was recording at the time. The object does have a triangle shape and very possible may not be a UFO, but rather the newest version of the TR-3B that has the USAF has been using. Whatever it is, it looks big. Alright. Here we're going to get a 1-minute video that captures this object. We're going to see it right there. There it is. It's nice and bright. And at that distance, it must be pretty good size because it looks pretty good size at this distance. Okay. Very interesting indeed. Now we're going to go from the ISS to a story. You may have heard about this one. I'm almost certain you have. This is a video here. It's 6 minutes in length. I'm going to leave this for you to watch. But this is about that Chibolton crop circle. Back in August 16th, 2001, a crop formation appeared overnight in front of the Chibolton Radio Observatory in England. It was a clear response to the Arecibo message, which was sent into space by Carl Sagan and NASA in 1974. It seems impossible that people could have made such a large and complex formation so perfectly in the dark of one night. On top of that, scientific analysis of the crops showed that they had not been pushed down with the blunt forces you would expect in some man-made design. Rather, the bottom nodes of the stalks had been heated via some form of focused radiation so that they wilted over and strangely came to rest at a 90-degree angle. Most people have skeptical reaction to their appearances, so it closely resembles the typical gray alien depicted in many movies. But it is worth noting that the image was not the product of Hollywood's imagination. Just like the flying saucer, the description originally came from people who claimed to have seen them firsthand. Hollywood just took that description and sensationalized it for their own purposes. And I'm just gonna, well, we're not gonna get there. Video's there, you can check it out. Alright. Which country believes in extraterrestrials the most? According to a study that was conducted by Tartu University Department of Religion, nearly half of the people living in Estonia believe the existence of extraterrestrial life, and a fifth have been engaged in the New Age practices like yoga, meditation, or liberation breathing. Lita Post Memes Online reports. Nearly 70% of the 1,100 people who were polled agreed with the statement that they believed in spiritual self-development with the help of mental practices like meditation. 43% of the respondents believed in the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations, the representatives of which occasionally visit our planet. 22% believe that human civilization was brought to Earth creatures from other planets, and 16% believe that the government of big states cooperate with aliens but hide it from their people. 61% of Estonian nationals agree to the claim that the national religion is true religion of the Estonian people, but only 4% of the polled identified themselves as natural religion believers. 58% of the polled agreed to claim that they have their own religion, which is independent of different churches and religions. And 49% of the claim that they don't consider themselves religious, but they have high interest towards different religious and mental feelings. A fifth of Estonians and half of the people of other nationalities identify themselves as Christians. However, 55% of Estonians and 77% of people of other nationalities think that Christian doctrine is based on the growing to be a moral person, and around the same agree to the claim that they like Christian principles. 28% polled they agreed that the religion is an obstacle for the free mental development of a person. 35% agreed that the church is meant to manipulate masses of people and keep them under control. A tenth of the people polled said they were atheists. So, looks like Estonia is the largest. Okay. And one more story here. This is something that is coming to HBO. Ridley Scott series about ancient aliens in Egypt. For thousands of years, mankind has wondered what the deal is with ancient Egypt. All those pyramids, crazy hats, cat gods don't just come out of nowhere. And since the world's greatest archaeologists can't seem to come up with any answers, we must once again turn to television to solve the mysteries of the universe. In the wakes of Fox's development of its own Sexy Egypt series, Hieroglyph, the latest visionary to chime in with the idea about what the deal is with ancient Egypt is Ridley Scott, who, as reported by Variety, will be directing and executive producing a new project for HBO called Pharaoh. The series was created by David Schulmer, who previously created NBC's Do No Harm, and it will focus on aliens having some kind of influence on the development of ancient Egypt. They'll probably do this by wearing crazy hats, telling people how cool cats are, and also maybe they'll look like giant birds or dogs or whatever things ancient Egypts are into. Obviously, Pharaoh has nothing to do with Stargate, despite having almost the same exact premise. but how exactly it differs remains to be seen. We'll know more if HBO decides to pursue Pharaoh as a full series, unless it gets reshuffled into a stealth Stargate reboot, of course, which is someone out there wants. Okay, so interesting. We'll certainly be paying attention to that when it comes out, and we'll see how Hollywood decides to interpret that one. All right, there you have it. That's our UFO news. I'm going to jump away just for a moment. I'll be back. We're going to continue on with the Kryballion. Be right back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Let's continue on. So, we have gone over, quick review here, the 7 principles: mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. We've gone more in depth on a number of those: mental transmutation or mentalism, in which we went over the chapters of mental transmutation, the all, the mental universe, the divine paradox, and the all in the all. Basically, summarizing that the all is what makes up everything. The all being that divine intelligence of the universe, that nothing exists outside of the all. Everything exists within and without. There is only the all. The all is mental. There are multiple dimensions to these levels of the all, and that all of these levels correspond with each other, the planes of correspondence. So it doesn't matter how big or how small you are in the degrees or where you are in the planes of the all, there's correspondence always taking place. That all of these energies, all of these connections, dimensions, all vibrates. Everything vibrates, and because it vibrates, that is all part of the way in which it communicates. And that through this, there is polarity, that all of these energies exist. And the example given were that like hot and cold are 2 examples, 2 of the same thing on the same pole. They're just different degrees along the same thing. That hot and cold are the same, just different degrees of that same quality. Okay, and now we're going to go from polarity into the next section, which is rhythm. Okay, rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swings manifest in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure to the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The Kryballion. The 5th great Hermetic principle, the principle of rhythm, embodies the truth that in everything there is manifested a measured motion, a to and from movement, a flow and an inflow, a swing forward and backward, a pendulum-like movement, a tide-like ebb and flow, a high tide and a low tide. In between the 2 poles manifest on the physical, mental, or physical planes. The principle of rhythm is closely connected with the principle of polarity described in the preceding chapter. Rhythm manifests between these 2 poles established by the principle of polarity. This does not mean, however, that the pendulum of rhythm swings to the extreme poles, for this rarely happens. In fact, it is difficult to establish the extreme polar opposites in the majority of cases, but the swing is ever toward first one pole and then the other. There is always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, a rising and a sinking, manifested in all of the airs and phenomena of the universe. Suns, worlds, men, animals, plants, minerals, forces, energy, mind, and matter, yes, even spirit manifest as principle. The principle manifests in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of nations, in the life history of all things, and finally, in the mental states of man. Beginning with the manifestations of spirit of the all, it would be noticed that there is an ever-changing the ever outpouring and the indrawing, the outbreathing and the inbreathing of Brahm. As the Brahmins word it, universes are created, reach their extreme low point of materiality, and then begin their upward swing. Suns spring into being, and then their height of power being reached, the process of retrogression begins, and after eons they become dead masses of matter, awaiting another impulse which starts again their inner energies into activity, and a new solar life cycle is begun. And thus it is with all the worlds. They are born, grow, and die, only to be reborn. And thus it is with all things of shape and form. They swing from action to reaction, from birth to death, from activity to inactivity, and then back again. Thus it is with all living things. They are born, grow, and die, and then are reborn. So it is with all great movements, philosophers, creeds, fashions, governments, nations, and all else: birth, growth, maturity, decadence, death, and then new birth. The swing of the pendulum is ever in evidence. Night follows day, and day night. Pendulum swings from summer to winter, and then back again. The corpuscles, atoms, molecules, and all masses of matter swing around the circle of their nature. There is no such thing as absolute rest or cessation from movement, and all movement partakes of rhythm. The principle is of universal application. It may be applied to any question or phenomena of any other of the many planes of life. It may be applied to all phases of human activity. There is always the rhythmic swing from one pole to the other. The universal pendulum is ever in motion. The tides of life flow in and out according to law. The principle of rhythm is well understood by modern science and is considered a universal law as applied to natural things. But the Hermeticists carry the principle much further and know that its manifestations and influence extend to the mental activities of man, and that it accounts for the bewildering succession of moods, feelings, and other annoying and perplexing changes that we notice in ourselves. But the Hermeticists, by studying the operations of this principle, have learned to escape some of its activities by transmutation. The Hermetic masters long since developed that while the principle of rhythm was invariable and ever in evidence in mental phenomena, still there were two planes of its manifestation so far as mental phenomena are concerned. They discovered that there were two general planes of consciousness, the lower and the higher, the understanding of which fact enabled them to rise to the higher plane and thus escape the wheel of the rhythmic pendulum, which manifested on the lower plane. In other words, the swing of the pendulum occurred on the unconscious plane, and the consciousness was not affected. This they call the law of neutralization. Its operations consist in the raising of the ego above the vibrations of the unconscious plane of mental activity, so that the negative swing of the pendulum is not manifested in consciousness, and therefore they are not affected. It is akin to rising above a thing and letting it pass beneath you. The Hermetic master or advanced student polarizes himself at the desired pole, and then by a process akin to refusing to participate in the backward swing, or if you prefer, a denial of its influence over him, he stands firm in his polarized position and allows the mental pendulum to swing back along the unconscious plane. All individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery accomplish this more or less unknowingly, and by refusing to allow their moods and negative mental states to affect them, they apply the law of neutralization. The master, however, carries this to a much higher degree of proficiency, and by use of his will he attains a degree of poise and mental firmness almost impossible of belief on the part of those who allow themselves to be swung backward and forward by the mental pendulum of moods and feelings. The importance of this will be appreciated by any thinking person who realizes the creatures of moods, feelings, and emotion the majority of people are, and how little mastery of themselves they manifest. If you will stop and consider a moment, you will realize how much of this swing of the pendulum have affected you in your life, how a period of enthusiasm has been invariably followed by an opposite feeling and mood of depression. Likewise, your moods and periods of courage have been succeeded by equal moods of fear, and so it has ever been with the majority of persons. Tides of feeling have ever risen and fallen within them, but they have never suspected the cause or reason of the mental phenomena. An understanding of the workings of this principle will give one the key to the mastery of these rhythmic swings of feelings, and will enable him to know himself better and to avoid being carried away by these inflows and these outflows. The will is superior to the conscious manifestations of this principle. Although the principle itself can never be destroyed, we may escape its effects, but the principle operates nevertheless. The pendulum ever swings, although we may escape being carried along with it. There are other features of the operation of this principle of rhythm of which we wish to speak at this point. There comes into operations that which is known as a law of compensation. One of the definitions or meanings of the word compensate is to counterbalance, which is the measure to which the Hermeticists use the law. It is the term of compensation to which the Kryballion refers when it says the measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. The law of compensation is that to swing in one direction determines to swing in the opposite direction, or to the opposite pole the one balances or counterbalances the other. On the physical plane we may see examples of this law. The pendulum of the clock swings a certain distance to the right and then an equal distance to the left. The seasons balance each other in the same way. The tides follow the same law, and the same law is manifested in all the phenomena of rhythm. The pendulum, with a short swing in one direction, has but a short swing in the other, while the long swing to the right invariably means the long swing to the left. An object hurled upward to a certain height has an equal distance to traverse on its return. The force with which a projectile is sent upward a mile is reproduced when the projectile returns to the earth on its return journey. This law is constant on the physical plane, as reference to the standard authorities will show you. But the Hermeticists still carry it further. They teach that man's mental states are subject to the same law. The man who enjoys keenly is subject to keen suffering, while he who feels but little pain is capable of feeling but little joy. The pig suffers but little mentality and enjoys but little. He is compensated. And on the other hand, there are other animals who enjoy keenly, but whose nervous organism and temperament can cause them to suffer exquisite degrees of pain, and so it is with man. There are temperaments which permit of but low degrees of enjoyment and equally low degrees of suffering, while there are others which permit the most intense enjoyment, but also the most intense suffering. The rule is that the capacity for pain and pleasure in each individual are balanced. The law of compensation is still in full operation here. But the Hermeticists go still further in this matter. They teach that before one is able to enjoy a certain degree of pleasure, he must have swung as far proportionately towards the other pole of feeling. They hold, however, that the negative is precedent to the positive in this matter. That is to say, that in experiencing a certain degree of pleasure, it does not follow that he will have to pay up for it with a corresponding degree of pain. On the contrary, the pleasure is the rhythmic swing, according to the law of compensation, for a degree of pain previously experienced either in the present life or in a previous incarnation. This throws new light on the problem of pain. The Hermeticists regard the chain of lives as continuous and as forming a part of one life of the individual, so that the consequence of rhythmic swing is understood in this way, while it would be without meaning unless the truth of reincarnations is admitted. But the Hermeticists claim that the master or advanced student is able to a great degree to escape the swing towards pain by the process of neutralization before mentioned. By rising onto the higher plane of the ego, much of the experience that comes in those dwelling on the lower plane is avoided and escaped. The law of compensation plays an important role in the lives of men and women. It will be noticed that one generally pays the price of anything he possesses or lacks. If he has one thing, he lacks another. The balance is struck. No one can keep his penny and have a bit of cake. At the same time, everything has its pleasant and unpleasant sides. The things that one gains are always paid for by the things that one loses. The rich possess much that the poor lack, and the poor often possess things that are beyond the reach of the rich. The millionaire may have the inclination towards feasting and the wealth wherewith to secure all of the dainties and the luxuries of the table, while he lacks the appetite to enjoy the same. He envies the appetite and the digestion of the laborer, who lacks the wealth and the inclinations of the millionaire, who gets more pleasure from his plain food than the millionaire could ever obtain if his appetite were not jaded, nor his digestion ruined, for the wants of habits and inclinations differ. And so it is through life. The law of compensation is ever in operation, striving to balance and counterbalance, and always succeeding in time. ever through the several lives may be required for the return swing of the pendulum of rhythm. So there you have it. So, the pendulum of rhythm, it kind of helps us to understand what's going on in life a bit more, doesn't it? I mean, we see that there are good things and bad things happening all the time. We see that we're living in a society that is swinging one way, and we wonder how far we're going to be able to go, going down, down, down on this apparent downward spiral. But we know that by the swing of the pendulum, it's going to swing the other way. And we can feel that that swing, that change, is about to occur. We often think of these ideas of this pole shift coming because we're aware there's something about to change. We know it has to change. We can feel it because things have gone so far in one direction that there's only one other way for it to go, and that's to swing back the other way. So review these lessons. They're all very good lessons, and even though there's a lot for each chapter to read, it's actually pretty minimal. And when you really get down to it, it's just pretty basic understanding. Everything in the universe is mental. All of the mental corresponds to each other. All of it vibrates. All of it has poles to it. And the energy moves in different rhythms and back and forth. So we go from one extreme to the next, or back and forth between the two poles for the varying degrees of whatever it is we're going to do. And if we just understand this, and we apply it to the other things that we understand about tarot and Kabbalah, astrology, and all the other esoteric sciences, we start to find a common thread that they are all basically saying the same things because the principles of manifestation are the same. And all of these are just different ways of describing that which we do. We take an idea and we bring that idea into manifestation by applying emotions or love to it, by expressing those into the world as words or actions, and we create a form. And all of these other laws and principles that are involved with there help us to see how this energy is basically going from one form to another. And that's it. So we'll continue on next week with the next chapter, which is about cause and effect, and then gender. In the meantime, let's continue on with some information for health purposes. Now, we know about fluoride. We hear about fluoride all the time and the dangers that it possesses. Well, here's something that can help us to guard ourselves against the fluoride poisoning. It says, uncover your true potential, the spice that prevents fluoride from destroying your brain. Fluoride is found everywhere today, from antibiotics to drinking water to stick pans to toothpaste, making exposure inevitable. All the more reason why new research proving this common spice can prevent fluoride damage is so promising. Fluoride's neurotoxicity has been the subject of academic debate for decades, and now a matter of increasingly impassioned controversy among the general public as well. From conspiracy theories about being first used in drinking water in Russia and Nazi concentration camps to chemically lobotomized captives, it is now well-known IQ-lowering properties to its ability to enhance the calcification of the pineal gland, the traditional seat of the soul. Many around the world, and increasingly in the heavily fluoridated regions of the United States, are starting to organize at the local and statewide level to oust the ubiquitous toxicant from municipal drinking water. Now, a new study published in the Pharmacognosy magazine entitled Curcumin Attenuates Neurotoxicity Induced by Fluoride, and in vivo evidence adds experimental support to the suspicion that fluoride is indeed a brain-damaging substance, also revealing that a natural spice-derived protective agent against the various health effects associated with this compound is available. The study was authored by researchers from the Department of Zoology, University College of Science, ML, Sukhadia University, Udaipur, India, who have spent the past decade investigating the mechanisms through which fluoride induces severe neurodegenerative changes in the mammalian brain, particularly in the cells of the hippopotamus and cerebral cortex. I'm sorry, not hippopotamus, hippocampus and the cerebral cortex. We don't have a hippopotamus in our brain, we have a hippocampus. Okay. The study opens by describing the historical backdrop of the concern about fluoride's significant and wide-ranging toxicity. It says fluoride is probably the first inorganic ion which drew attention of the scientific world for its toxic effects, and now the F toxicity through drinking water is well recognized as a global problem. Health effects reported on the F exposure also include various cancers, adverse reproductive activities, cardiovascular, and neurological diseases. The study focused on fluoride-induced neurotoxicity, identifying exotoxicity, stimulant of the neuron to the point of death, and oxidative stress as the two main drivers of neurodegeneration. It has been observed that to subjects with a condition known as fluorosis is the modeling of the tooth enamel caused by excessive exposure to fluoride during tooth development. Also have neurodegenerative changes associated with a form of oxidative stress known as lipid peroxidation. Excess lipid peroxidation in the brain can lead to a decrease in total brain phospholipid content. Owing to these well-known mechanisms of fluoride-associated neurotoxicity and neurodegeneration, the researchers identified the primary polyphenol in the spice turmeric, known as curcumin, as an ideal agent worth testing as a neuroprotective substance. Previous research on curcumin indicates that it is capable of acting as an antitoxin in three ways: by protecting against a single oxygen, hydroxyl radicals, and superoxide radial damage. Also, curcumin appears to raise endogenous glutathione production in the brain, a major antioxidant defense system. Okay, there's more to the article here, but as you can see, as with problems, there are solutions. So here is a solution. So if you're concerned about the fluoride, as well you should be, here is something you can do. So get yourself some curcumin and take care of the problem. Alright, let's move on. Here's something else. Now this is dealing with water. Water charged with music energy has healing properties. This is from Valerie of the Learning Mind. Physicist from Kazakhstan, Vladimir Ivanov, charges water with the help of music. Such water, he says, has unique healing properties and can be used as an adjunct to traditional medicine. The scientist uses the works of Bach, Mozart, and other great musicians to charge water. The fact that water has a memory and its quality improves or generates depends on the nature of the information it carries, was known to the ancient healers and shamans a long time ago, who practiced impact on the energy structure of water. One can be skeptical of this, but today the magical properties of water do not seem so magical. Water is a living substance, while human is a watery living being. According to science, more than 70% of our body is water. Laser technology expert Vladimir Ivanov of Almaty, Kazakhstan, under the guidance of Doctor of Medical Sciences Professor Guram Pichkazdaz, has been conducting experiments with water and other liquid media for many years. He argues that water has a tremendous potential. It is only necessary to activate it, and the positive properties of bioactivated water can be used for the purpose of healing. Perhaps water is the panacea for all ills. The physicist even created a table, like a periodic table of elements, where he pointed out that the parameters of liquids and their impacts on the 7 main chakras of the human body. Any liquid, whether it is mineral water or alcohol, has its influence on the human body. Liquids, depending on their composition, can have both positive and negative effect. Ivanov proposes a technique for producing water with unusual properties based on the use of music or art therapy. It is known that water can perceive sound waves. The physicist believes that human listens to music not so much with his ears, but with the chakras of his energy body. The algorithm is based on a musical program. In the beginning, I tried to activate the saline solution of the vitamin C solution. The results were amazing. All of the patients had their aura fully restored. Music, heart, effect water is changed to a certain potential, then one more stage, and so it must go through 5 stages, that is 90 hours of continuous exposure. The musical program of water is activated. Water activation is recorded on discs, but not all music positively affects water. For example, I put Moonlight Sonata by Beethoven, Bolero by Ravel, Seasons by Tchaikovsky, as well as Bach, Mozart, Schubert. Music can be neutral so that the listening to it doesn't change anything. It can be active, negative, for example, rock, and positive, which is on the one that changes water. Treatment of any disease is impossible without energy rebalancing, believes Vladimir Ivanov. This can be done with the help of bioactivated water, plain water with improved qualities. It positively affects human fluids. Water is also essential for normalization of the metabolic processes of the body. The physicist also takes pictures of the human aura before and after taking bioactivated water and claims that there are clear signs of the aura changes. It says water activation technique is considered by its author as one of the most promising areas of integrative medicine, as well as simple and cost-effective way of treatment. The most amazing thing with bioactivated water can remain stable for a long time. Ivanov is sure that in the future supporters of traditional medicine will believe in the potential of bioactivated water. That's pretty fascinating. And just imagine, maybe one day in the future we'll have water plants with large speakers around them playing classical music to the water and just affecting the water. Just imagine what that would be like. I mean, we are all affected. We know that everything is energy. We know that everything vibrates, and that if we put a vibration into something, that it carries that vibration of what was put into it. So we certainly can understand how all of these things tie into each other, right? Okay, so our channeled message for today comes to us from White Buffalo Calf Woman. White Buffalo Calf Woman. Let's check it out. Hear what this is about. Here we go.
April 24th, 2014.
White Buffalo Calf Woman. Every intersection of life is etched in the memories of your flesh.
As received by Gillian Macbeth Lowthan.
Let your spirits soar upon the wind that whispers through your hearts. Let your spirits soar upon the smile of a child, the song of a bird, the twinkle of a star. Let your spirits ride upon the tail of a rainbow on your way home to your home star where your heart lives. I am she that weaves and heals the holes in your heart. Like Spider-Woman, I too weave light catching the morning dew of pure healing in the sacred geometries. I am she that helps you to find that which you seek. I am White Buffalo Calf Woman. I look deeply at your light, your life, and your hearts. Most do not sit fully or comfortably with the power of the treasure within you. By not loving and embracing all of your experiences, your daily reflections, and your human body, your soul growth will become Ming-like and stunted, keeping you less than on a divine playing field. Ascension is not accessible until you have embraced all of Earth, her dilemmas, her heartaches, her pains, and your humanness. For you come to Earth to heal and love Mother Earth. By not loving your humanness, by not loving your earthiness, by not loving the cells, and the organs, gray hairs, and the wrinkles upon your body, you are not loving your Mother Earth. You can only heal her and yourself only by loving you. You are asked to enter into this next doorway of eclipse light by loving every ache, every pain, every bone, every hair, every iota of you, inside and out. It is easy to love the oceans, the trees, and the rainbows, but not so easy to love your humanness. Every intersection of life is etched in the memories of your flesh. Every choice you ever made, no matter how you view it now, was a divine choice. Every experience that you germinated, cultivated, and then harvested was a creation manifested and birthed by the divinity within you. Every individual on earth is having a different experience. Do not judge their experiences, nor criticize them, nor analyze them, nor rebuke them, for their experiences are perfectly divine, as they have created them. The upcoming energies ask you to come into balance within yourself and not to worry if thy neighbor is out of balance, or thy husband is on tilt, or thy boss is Scrooge. Balance begins and ends with you. It is not your concern what another is doing. Do not busy yourself with the details of changing others. Busy yourself with honoring your choices, your energies, your frequencies, and your challenges. Each of you has come to a boxed canyon. You seem to be at the end of your rope hanging on for dear life. Understand, dear ones, you are being asked to move mountains, to change the molecular structure of what blocks your way, to fly over what keeps you less than. Walk in power knowing that you can shift what you originally commanded into existence. I, Buffalo Calf Woman, ask you to love all of your creations, for God does not chide even one of his creations, he loves all of them, no matter how much the creation does not love itself. Embrace who you are. Stand tall in your light. I am White Buffalo Calf Woman.
Alright, a good message. Again, ties in with everything that we've been learning. You know, one thing that comes clear through all of these books, the Kryballion, the various teachings there, the life and teachings of the masters of the Far East, the messages from the extraterrestrials that come through. Message that's over and over is that change all begins first and foremost with us. So no matter what's going on in the world, even though that we are aware that there are things that we don't like, we can fix them by going in to fix us individually. You know, and that's one of the reasons why I've chosen to not be so heavy-handed in all the conspiracy theories, because I wasn't feeling good with that. And you know, the change has to happen with me, has to happen with each of us individually on the way we look at the world. And if it's so simple that all we have to do is look at the positive, then let's just look at the positive. That's the way I see it. Because there is certainly a view in the world that is telling us to look at the negative, and we've done that. And when we look at the negative over and over, we know where it leads us. So let's look at the positive. And if we keep doing that, we'll change what's going on, because we're changing ourselves first, and that will change the world as we change ourselves, because others will see what change is taking place, and they'll just feel that that change is positive in others and will want to change themselves as well. So we just act as examples to help each other out. And I believe that's what we're here for, and that's what we're doing to help us move forward by learning how to change each other. But in order to do that, we have to go inside. And that's the biggest trick. The thing that we need the most is inside, and yet society teaches us to look outside. We're going to go inside now. We're going to do our meditations. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. I want you just to imagine the world and all of the challenges the world is going through right now. I want you to feel all of those challenges outside of you. And as you feel them, I want you to feel the heaviness that comes with all of these challenges, with all of the fears that are put into the world and the doubts and the negativities. Just feel that. And then imagine that you close your eyes to go inside, and when you do, those problems melt away. It's as if there are two different worlds existing, the world outside and the world inside. The world inside teaches us about things that are very important for us to know, important qualities of life, whereas the world outside teaches us what man wants us to see. And oftentimes those men who are putting forth the information aren't looking inside, so they're not giving us that example. So we have compassion for those who are only looking outside or teaching us to look outside. While at the same time we have understanding for the value of looking inside. So we imagine looking inside of ourselves and seeing this wonderful kingdom of love, of light, of truthfulness. Imagine seeing that world living inside of you. And when you close your eyes and you go into this world, just imagine the peacefulness that you feel. And then the question arises of how to bring that peaceful feeling from the inside to the outside. And the more that we contemplate this idea, the more that we realize all we have to do is to make a change inside, and it will automatically reflect on the outside. So we see this change, we see this peaceful, loving feeling that we get, and we just allow it to absorb inside of ourselves. And without even thinking, our conscious world changes as well, until our inner and outer worlds begin to match, with the inner world being the lead. So let's imagine ourselves living in this peaceful, loving place, a place that we have come to understand is important because we learn to go inside first and foremost. And let's imagine a planet with people going inside, learning about the importance of who they are, letting go of all of the outside trappings of the world. Let's imagine this world where truth and love and positivity are the key words of each and every day. Let's contemplate this affirmation. The essence of my being burns bright with love, peace, and joy. I am charged with divine ideas shot from the mind of God. My life is a blessing. I have multiple gifts to give. Infinite invisible good manifests as all my needs met. Radiant health and wholeness express as my body temple. I am a walking, talking, living, loving expression of God's grace. I am all things. I am grateful. So be it. And just allow yourself to feel all of those good feelings. And let those feelings bubble to the surface and overflow, so that those good vibes you're feeling on the inside express themselves on the outside. And just see and imagine that energy flowing off of you, spreading around the world, and mixing and connecting with energies of others who are also looking inside. And imagine, one by one, this energy multiplied, so that energy like a wave washes over the planet and inspires others to take time to go inside as well. Till one by one, we all, through the process of going inside and changing ourselves, we affect the whole, and we change ourselves as a whole for the better. So as we go forth over the course of this weekend, let's just imagine this world is a better place because we've all made the effort to change ourselves first and foremost. As we go into the world, let us look at each individual we meet and see the good within them. And let's just imagine love being sent around the planet, sent down into the planet, up into the cosmos, and connecting with each and every individual and being in this world and all worlds around. So let your subconscious mind continue on that journey of understanding and exploration, sending out love and light, positivity. And let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. We've made it through another week. Thanks for being here. All the links to all the stories are available at firstcontactradio.com. I'll be back Monday with more news, information, and all kind of other good stuff. Thanks for being here. Have an awesome weekend. Love ya. Peace. I'm out of here.